It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The SEC tournament down in Tampa underway for the quarterfinal round, and Texas A&M trying to hold off Auburn in the Aggies upset bid. They lead 58-49 with just under 4 minutes to go in the second half. You can hear that game streaming on 1045thezone.com or the 1045 The Zone app. Coming up about half an hour after this one wraps up, it will be LSU and Arkansas playing for a spot in the semifinals, and then a 5 p.m. tip-off as Tennessee takes on Mississippi State. Ball Network pregame coverage starts at 4:30 right here on The Zone. And then to close it out tonight in Tampa Bay at 7 p.m., Vanderbilt, after coming back from down 15 in the second half last night and beating Alabama, takes on Kentucky again tonight, a 7 p.m. tip-off. Titan CEO Burke Nihill discussed the team's plans for a new stadium at a Metro Sports Authority board meeting on Thursday. Per the Tennessean, the team is currently working with Metro Nashville on building a new stadium in the parking lots next door to where Nissan Stadium currently sits. Tomorrow morning, the Nashville Predators finish out a 3-game homestand looking for their 4th straight win coming off of last night's 4-1 win against the Anaheim Ducks. It is an 11:30 a.m. puck drop against the St. Louis Blues in Bridgestone Arena. And Nashville Soccer Club continues its 8-game road trip to start the season before coming home to the officially named Geodis Park on May 1st. NSC plays its 3rd game of the year at FC Dallas tomorrow night, a 7:30 kickoff. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 1045 The Zone.
Oh, it's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It's like 4 inches of snow on the way.
No.
And I had my windows down on the way in today.
No, I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. Someone told me actually on Tuesday it was supposed to snow. I thought they were crazy. He said, "Oh no! It's supposed to snow. It's weekend." And I guess that means today. So tonight is supposed to snow?
Yeah.
Oh my!
I saw somebody posted. It's like, Lucas, did you
what
see
time?
this?
Like in the middle of the morning?
No. I saw this right as I sat down earlier. Somebody had tweeted it's 65 here and it's 45 in Paducah and it's like 25 in St. Louis. That line that's coming here.
So tonight we're supposed to get snow?
Tonight.
I thought it was
Starting
early in the morning.
this evening.
Sounds terrible.
I think late this evening.
Dang, I didn't even want to look. I don't know. I just was like, oh, that's gonna come in the middle of the night. I mean, morning. Jeez, it's so nice out. Why? My allergies is gonna just flare up like no other. Man. Claritin D about to make some money on me.
This is this is just one of those days when you live in this part of the world and the weather changes. It normally doesn't change like this. I do remember a day, though, when I was in high school, so this was a long time ago. I remember going to my friend's house after school and playing basketball in shorts and T-shirts, and like everybody's sweating. And I remember by midnight that night it had snowed 5 inches. So, this is a similar day to what that day was. I remember.
Man, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't like the up and down roller coaster. 3 days of good weather. Next thing you know, it's freezing cold and rain and snow. I'm like, man, something's going on here. Lucas probably knows better than us. He's kind of wanting to be a weatherman. Why does this keep happening?
I don't know. It's cruel. It's cruel and it's evil.
Not good.
Well, it's coming. Just so enjoy your ride home today because apparently it's just going to start to plummet throughout the day. The wind chill tomorrow, I think I saw one weather service that said 5 degrees.
You kidding me?
That it was 65 today and a wind chill of -5 tomorrow.
And Monday will be gorgeous.
Oh, is Monday supposed to be nice again?
I don't know. I think next week's supposed
You're
to be.
really perturbing me with this.
I'm just telling you.
In-depth weather analysis.
I'm just telling you. You know me.
Coming. I know you're. It's ingrained in you to check the weather, but
yeah.
People call in and tell us what the real weather. Man, don't be scaring us, man. It's negative.
It's supposed to be 5-degree wind chill, which means it won't be 5 degrees, but the wind's supposed to blow like crazy tomorrow. At one point, I saw 30-mile-per-hour winds tomorrow. So just get ready to hunker down. And then it's supposed to be 50 on Sunday. So
Just for a day, right? Hunker down on Saturday.
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know.
That shouldn't be possible.
I don't know. Somebody called it a
Like every now and then, but this has been a lot of occasions here this year already.
I know the Nashville guys are probably not listening to this, but I saw them having a conversation with somebody on Twitter who called tonight's weather event a bomb cyclone. And they said they had read that was what was going on. And the Nashville guy said that's when you have 24, however you measure barometric pressure, 24 points drop in 24 hours. It's a weather event. It doesn't involve a bomb or an actual cyclone, but it's a weather event. It's a big drop in barometric pressure. So my head tomorrow is going to feel like it's exploding.
Well, I'll tell you where all the pressure is going to come from. If Auburn loses this game, they're going against A&M, which they've cut it to like 5.
It's a bomb cyclone in Tampa right now.
A minute 26 left or so. Oh, no, 51 seconds. 62 to 55.
They were just down 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're
when I pulled in the parking lot a few minutes ago, they were down 20.
I think they're going to run out of time.
They had cut it to 5. You're right. They cut it to 5, and it's back up to 7. Auburn just had a breakaway layup that got blocked by somebody from A&M. I know we technically can't do play-by-play on this, but
we can.
Boy.
This is a huge upset here, man.
This is what makes March so great. Now, if Auburn's your team, then it's not so great, but they're still going to get their seed and go on and do their thing in a tournament. Here's the deal.
Well, you think they drop, let's say if they were the 2 seed, you think they drop to a 3 seed?
It would if Tennessee were to win the SEC tournament and Auburn bounced in the quarterfinals, I would think Tennessee would move up to a 2 and Auburn would drop.
Mm-hmm. And that's what these tournaments do at the end of the seasons and their conference tournaments, man. It's kind of interesting. Oh! Jabari Smith just hit a 3. 62 to 58, A&M over Auburn.
Oh, this would be such a collapse for A&M.
I'm just thinking about right now, Dawn, how she's doing.
Oh, she's chewing on her fingernails right now.
We just had a front row seat to Bucks Hoosiers knocking off Illinois in the dying seconds.
Does he not want them to just lose to get the season over with so he can move on with his life?
He acts like he does, but now he's on cloud 9 because they might have just punched their ticket to the tournament.
Yeah, they
punched their way to the play-in game, maybe.
Man.
Here's the thing about this, though. We're talking about, oh, gosh, if Auburn loses this, they could drop to a 3 seed. If this is a group of 5 tournament, it's like somebody's about to this ends somebody's hopes.
Yep.
Then it's over for somebody. So this would be the number 1 seed, then hoping and praying they could be a 2-bid league at this point if it's a quarterfinal of the OVC or, the Sun Belt or some other tournament like that. But we're just rearranging some chairs on the Lido deck at this point.
What do you guys think of the odds of Kentucky versus Vandy? Man, Vandy, I was into that second half, man, after I got home from Batman.
Last night. I was watching it on my phone.
Oh, no, I got back from Batman. And then I watched the rest of the game. Second half.
That's right. We have to get a quick Batman review from Blaine Bishop.
Yeah,
he saw Batman last night.
Batman.
We were discussing this yesterday. Only one person that you saw said they didn't like it. Everybody else has said it's great.
No spoilers now.
No spoilers. Oh,
no. First of all, it was too long.
All movies are too long now.
So if you want, this thing was 3 hours.
What?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
pack a lunch.
Yeah, it started at 6, so 6:15, and it was done at 9. Yeah.
That's a lot of Batman right
6,
there.
And then it had to start by 6:15.
It's a lot of action.
Great storylines. It was just a little long, drawn out. Kind of changed the philosophy of the storyline a little bit, but I was cool with it. If I want to give it a grade, I'm gonna just I feel like it's a B.
Okay.
Yeah, the length really is killing me. And
okay.
Some people, it was just too long and drawn out to get the story out there. B minus. I mean, I wasn't super excited, but the plot and the storyline, if you really look deep, was pretty good.
It's not a spoiler alert to say who Batman fights in the movie, is it? Is there a new Joker, or is it the Penguin or the Riddler, or do they make up somebody?
And this is where I had my issue. There was no one.
What?
See, and that's why that one person doesn't like, because they wanted to see that. And I think I kind of lean towards that. That's why I give him a B minus.
He's just
I said B,
fighting
B
like a
minus.
faceless rabble of just crime
Well,
doers.
he calls someone in there called the Penguin, but it's actually just a regular guy in there, just is kind of big,
Okay.
and he just does dirty things, kind of like like real world stuff, like going behind people's back. He's not a character.
Okay.
He's just a shoot 'em up, bang bang guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a change of course of direction. It was really about Gotham,
Ooh.
and more or less than going in against an individual.
Was it like super dark though and gritty and like
Yeah,
dark?
and that's why I also, yes, dark, and it rained the entire movie. And not outside.
Yep.
In the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that I did. It just made, it rains every day?
Well, it's going to snow here tonight.
Come on.
We can make a movie about that. All right, we have calls about the weather. Buffalo in Kentucky and Derek in Nashville want to talk about this. Buffalo, what's going on?
Yeah, I've got all my people that want snow removal have called me. They requested machines all over the place for snow removal at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
8 o'clock
I
and
plow a lot of snow.
8 o'clock in the morning or at night?
No, it's supposed to start snowing here at 8 o'clock tonight and then snow till maybe about 3 o'clock and then just be cold as all get out.
Just pick something cold. Yeah.
But, yeah, all of us landscapers and concrete guys, when we're not doing our day job, we're plowing snow at night. If we get any snow and we're salting these parking lots and stuff, it's good times.
All right, Buffalo. Thank you, man. Stay busy.
So he said 8 o'clock is when it's supposed to come through?
8 o'clock.
Oh, I got to make sure, I'm in the house.
I won't be in the house at 8 o'clock.
And I was going out to dinner at 5:30. I'm going early. I'm going to have to.
Oh, you got time.
Yeah.
You don't even have little kids. That's early to be eating.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to beat this time.
Well, that's smart. Beat the rush, too, on Friday. Derek in Nashville next on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Derek, you have any weather tips or forecasts for us?
Well, this is coming from the Weather Channel.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
It says action recommended. Execute a pre-planned activity outside and instructions. Issued by Nashville, Tennessee National Weather Service. Affected area, western middle Tennessee, including most of Nashville metro area. Description. Winter weather advisory remains in effect from 6 p.m. this evening to 6 a.m. Central Standard Time Saturday. What? Snow expected. Total snow accumulation of 1 to 3 inches. Winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour.
35.
There it is.
Wow.
Dang, Derek.
Oh,
Whoa, man.
Mickey, you were close.
I told you I've been watching this stuff.
Man, if my wife hears that, we will not be going to dinner.
Would you rather have...
6 to
You're going to be
8
fine. Would you rather have that or like threat of tornadoes? Would you rather know it's going to snow 3 inches or have the threat of tornadoes?
Just the threat?
Just a threat. You have no idea what's going to happen. Like when they put up all the colors on the map and you're in one of the colors.
Snow. I grew up in snow, so I have no problem. I don't want anybody's life, let alone mine, taken by a tornado.
Amen.
So
See, I'm right there with you.
I'm all with the snow. Well, I can take the snow. Matter of fact, I can go out there and make an angel or a snowman.
Buck Reising is no angel.
I'd make it look like Schaefer, though, since he's got on that hat today.
Buck Reising is no angel, but he is set to join us next. There's a lot going on in the NFL and with the Titans and with the weather. Maybe we'll ask him about that, too. It's all coming up next. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. Happy Friday to you.
Snow.
Now, a TSSAA scoreboard update on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The 3A Girls State Championship game is set in stone down in Murfreesboro. The first final of the day was Jackson Southside defeating Page 49-46. JSS will take on Upperman, who just edged out Creekwood 45-44. So it's Jackson Southside and Upperman playing for the 3A Girls State title tomorrow at 1:30. Next game up in the girls 4A bracket, it is Beach and Bearden tipping off here in just a few minutes. Designated drivers are the real MVP. If you've been drinking, pass your keys to a sober friend. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you, fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Buck Reising jumping on with us now to rock you like a hurricane. Wearing his Indiana gear as he just could not be more excited about Hoosier basketball right now with a fantastic stat of how long it's been since they've won 2 games in the tournament.
2003.
Do you wear that
Jeez.
every time they play or something with IU on, or you just
I do.
not, you don't? Okay, good.
I do, because I prefer to look like an idiot when they lose, decked out in all red. Cream and crimson is technically the color scheme. So I prefer to look like an idiot in all of them. I've got Indiana shoes on today, Blaine. What? I've got my my Hoosier tennis shoes. I've got my sweatshirt. Mickey has told me that I'm the only person who still owns this amount of gear from their alma mater, as anybody should.
Speaking of that, I got a Ball Stadium. I have a lot. I don't know.
I have 6 closets full of Arkansas State stuff from working there. I have every medium they had.
There's a distinct difference between the two of you. Blaine played at Ball State. You were an athletic director at Arkansas State. I'm just an idiot in my late 20s who still dresses up in their college team's gear.
You were a student and just as much as passionate about your school as we are.
Yeah, you can
by
say
passion,
we.
You mean disgust. I despise
it has to go
them.
through that. Now
Passion
you have to
can
appreciate
include disgust.
They won today. They won today, which means I get to watch them lose potentially another day. That's how I look at Indiana basketball.
Keep the faith, Buck.
Yeah.
Buck Reising brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, home of the non-commissioned salespeople, where Buck Reising just bought a vehicle, and you can do the same, and they'll take really good care of you. Again, the salespeople, no commission, no pressure, right?
I can attest.
He's with A to Z Sports. He's with The Install with Greg Cosell. You can find him every day on this station, too, Monday through Friday, and also covering the Titans. Speaking of the Titans, before we get to the Titans, how about the Colts? Wow. Traded a first for a quarterback, and he's gone. I heard you say this, and I heard other people say it, too. He was literally there and gone before the draft pick traded for him had an opportunity to be used.
It doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't happen. They have royally screwed themselves in multiple years now at this position. And listen, I think Chris Ballard there have been good things that Chris Ballard has done. They have been in contention and relevant to some degree, even as they haven't been able to figure out the most important position. But like this Wentz thing, I don't know if you guys read that article from Zach Kiefer on the Athletic about like he's kind of toxic internally, Carson Wentz is, and this is the second organization that he has been kind of toxic with.
Well, clarify that. What for us, people who are not as intelligent, what does that actually mean?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of intelligence. I think when they describe...
What is so toxic about him? I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at.
He lacks the accountability and leadership qualities that you expect the most important player on your football team to have.
And what does that look like?
And it looks like from a standpoint of being accountable after losses, when he makes these incredible mistakes that he does, or when he has the kind of turnovers that cause them to physically collapse as they did in at home against Vegas and in the end of the season against Jacksonville, like they don't believe that Carson Wentz is somebody who is going to rise above and help support the people around him in a way that causes problems in the organization. They don't have any leadership at the most important position.
I still don't get what that meant after you just explained it.
I mean, accountability, though, no?
So you're just saying accountability. So what does that consist of? I like to hear, because reason why I say this.
No, it's an important clarification.
And reason why I say this is because whenever a team doesn't want a player, you don't know if it's true what they're actually saying because they're trying to get rid of them and give you reasons why, whether they're true or not. So it's easy to go down the leadership road because that's what they said in Philly. So it's easy to kind of just throw it out there and then say, well, yeah, he just wasn't accountable, just kind of casually stating it. And it could have been a game and not all games. And then we take it and run with it here from the media's perspective. So being on the side of being a player, I've seen so many things reported about players, and then I talk to their teammates and they say the opposite. And I go, well, what? They go, that's not true. I don't know who started that.
And that's a great point to bring up, Blaine, because anytime this comes out, and this is a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way too, you have to understand who benefits by having the story out there.
There you go.
The only reason why I cite this is because people outside of the organization are the one. Oh, they're showing the Indiana game. I'd love to relive this again. A missed layup at the end by Illinois in the Big Ten tournament. Anyway, point being is there has been discussions, and Cosell and I actually talked about this. Now, Greg is in Philadelphia. Greg is tied to that organization, and one would think, not to try and flesh out Greg's sources or whatever, but Greg has said that there are significant behavioral issues with Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles, things that have apparently manifested again in Indianapolis. Blaine, I'm not in the meeting room, so I can't speak specifically to instances, but all I can do is look at the reporting, look at the track record of the player, and say these moments exactly when it comes to trusting a player on the field and thinking that this player, this quarterback, has your full and utmost trust. You tend to put the ball more in his hands. The offense tends to run through the quarterback, which is exactly the opposite thing that happened at the end of the season when it became the Jonathan Taylor offense, and everybody looked at it as, oh, they're just trying to get him his MVP candidacy, continued to run Jonathan Taylor. No, they were actively taking the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands because there was clear and obvious lack of trust between him and the coaching staff as displayed on the field. That's the only takeaway that I can have.
Okay, compare that just
eyes
analysis to Tannehill and Henry or Foreman or whoever you want, because they're doing the exact same thing.
Oh, sure. It's just a difference of how you manage the other stuff internally that we don't have the perspective on because we are not in those meeting rooms directly.
I always have an issue because when they talk about leadership.
And you should, by the way. Brian Flores just got dragged through the mud by Miami after everybody was criticizing Miami for how bad a decision it was to fire Brian Flores. What did you start to hear? Oh, he's angry. He hasn't talked to his offensive coordinator in a month. These are important things that you've just fleshed out.
Right. I mean, and that happens every time, and it's always you're trying to decipher and navigate, well, what was really going on. But guess what? If you were winning, none of those things happen. They actually happen, but it's okay because you're winning. So if they would have went to the playoffs, then everything would have been okay, and he would still be there. Even just one win made the entire difference why he's not there and why they talked about him so bad. Now, some people who've watched him and covered him over the entire season are just like, enough is enough. It's just, all right, but when I look at his numbers and I go, from afar, granted, he probably had 2 or 3 bad games. 27-7 is not that bad.
I was just going to ask you.
It's like, what? Whoa. Now let's dig deeper. Let's see, did he lose critical games? Did he lose the last game, against the Titans, and then the last game versus the Jaguars that really lost their chances to actually win and get in because they got in. Nobody wanted to play him. And oh, by the way, they still need some helping receivers around him.
Yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. cannot be your best option at wide receiver.
So there's still a lot of things around him to me. And then interesting, no move yet. Where are they going to go? Before you make a move, you need to know where you're going. And I don't know where they're going that will be better than Carson Wentz with all his faults.
It's not going to be better than Carson. It's not going to be better than Carson.
So then why do you make that move?
All I can say, Blaine, is that the reasons that he was traded were not on the field. The collapse at the end is a sticking point, just as it is with Ryan Tannehill. That's going to be your recency bias. That's going to be the most memorable thing that you associate with Carson Wentz.
But he's still in the Titans uniform.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill.
It's a different situation. It's $15 million versus, what is it, 57 or whatever?
They had an out.
They had an out. But you don't punt on a guy you just traded a first-round pick for solely because of what has happened at the end of their season. Because they were in it. They were with 2 weeks left to go in the season. They had 97% chance to make the playoffs.
9-6.
Yeah. So there was something there that devolved, either between the organization and the player, the coaching staff of the player, or players and players. Now, players are never going to sell each other out that way for exactly the way that you've just articulated, because they're too used to being hung out to dry by organizations and by coaching staffs who are looking to keep their jobs. Right. But at some point, there was a disconnect between the guy who stuck his neck out there for Carson Wentz, Frank Reich, the guy who said, let's trade for this dude, and what ended up happening at the end, where they're distancing themselves at the combine, saying, I don't know what to tell you about
you
this.
would distance yourself, too, if the owner says he's got to go.
Hell yes!
So that's why when we had on Bremer yesterday, it says, is this all owner-driven? Because if you get rid of Carson Wentz, both Reich and Ballard should be fired. See, because you made this extravagant trade and gave up first-round quality-type picks. First and a third?
First and a third.
Yeah. You should be fired then.
Yeah.
Sorry. You backed them then. You still got to back them now. Sorry. No, y'all all got to go together collectively. Y'all wanted them. That's why I think it came straight from up top, the owner. Because that's why they still have their jobs. If not, they must go too.
And he's the most, is Jim Irsay not the most front-facing member of the Colts organization?
Always.
Well, I want him to keep Carson Wentz so we can keep beating him. Though,
Well, if you can
to be
play,
honest.
you can
To
play
be
Jimmy
honest.
G twice a year. You'd like that too, Blaine.
So speaking of, we're going to talk about the Colts and everyone their dysfunction there. What about the cuts by the Titans? And do you think we'll see more, or will we see redone contracts?
I think that's a good question because it doesn't have to be one or the other, right? They have multiple options at their disposal. And by the way, one of them, in the case of Zach Cunningham, could well be a cut and then a reworked deal to get away from the $10.5 million cap hit that they would incur if they were to keep him on the roster. So it's not like it's an end-all, be-all situation. They can bring Zach Cunningham on a more cap-friendly deal while also releasing him if that's the option that they choose to go. Jackrabbit Jenkins at 34 years old and a $6.9 million cap savings associated with him, he is the logical next choice as far as cap savings are concerned. Roger Saffold, availability, and frankly, level of play. Like, Roger's great. I enjoyed covering Roger. Roger Saffold was not the same player in 2021 as he was in 19 or 20 before that. And, at a certain point, your body starts to break down. He's a good player here for a couple of years, deserved the contract that he got, also made sense to move on. I think really the only two that you're talking about realistically, pre-June 1st, right? Because Julio is a different conversation. But in terms of saving money before free agency, Jackrabbit makes the most sense.
Jackrabbit.
Jackrabbit.
So does that then make you believe that Farley will be healthy to start the season? Or do you go veteran again that'll be released or someone else that'll be on the market that you can get at a reasonable rate?
The market at corner is interesting. And I don't think, Buster Skrine is an unrestricted free agent. I would happily have Buster Skrine back.
Him.
He's a good player, and he plays multiple positions in that defense, right? So Caleb Farley, everything that I understand about his recovery process is that he's on track from the ACL. The back is no longer a concern for them outright at this point. Right now, it's the focus on the knee. You're talking about a learning curve still for a player who hasn't played football. So you cannot implicitly trust him. But for your position, because you're taking away from the defense in a veteran like Jackrabbit because you need to keep up in this AFC. Your offense is not good enough as presently constructed. You need additional weaponry. You need additional protection because the quarterback that you got is the quarterback that you got, and you have to find a way to keep up with the rest of this conference that is going crazy right now.
So why isn't Jackrabbit released?
It's a good question.
With the rest of the crew that got released the other day. I just feel like with Darrington Evans and I'm just like, okay. So obviously they're having, they're undecided, at least at this point in time. If not, why wouldn't they already release them? There's some questions still there to be answered, it seems like.
1,000%. 1,000%. Again, it's about day one readiness. Is Caleb Farley day one ready September? We don't have the answer to that question at this point. What we do know is that they, at this point, have drafted in a way that they should have their starting secondary and depth already on the roster. Not just Farley, Molden, Fulton, Chris Jackson, who's played a lot of snaps for them as a seventh-round pick, Hooker and Byard in the backfield. I don't have the answer to why he hasn't been cut yet, but it should be taken into consideration as to why he is still on the roster if they do, in fact, trust what's behind him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on Buck Reising. From the Buck Reising show right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Yes, sir. Is Dylan Radins going to be ready day one? Because they're going to have to plug somebody in for Big Saffold.
Hey, he's the guard, right?
And
he has to be.
Yeah.
I think they're going to still try him at right tackle. I think he may end up playing left guard, but I still think they're married to this idea that he can play right tackle, and I just think that's foolish, at least to start the offseason. But again, like I was just having this conversation, to a much lesser degree, it's a less sexy position. But remember when Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence were splitting time under Urban Meyer?
Yeah.
And you know that Trevor Lawrence is going to be starting quarterback. So why are they splitting time in the preseason?
Right.
Why even waste the time spent trying to get a naturally left side player to transition to not just tackle, but to right tackle, a position that he has never played until he's come to the pro level? He's a better fit at left guard. I think they're going to try and start him at right tackle to start the year to see if they can't get something out of it. But I don't think that's the right move.
So are they going to have to draft a guard? Do you think Brewer is the guard?
I think they got to draft a couple of offensive linemen. I don't think it's just one and done.
But I'm talking about to come in and play right away.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
I think that there is going to be one
backup
player in this draft at the offensive line position that is expected to be a day one starter.
Added to what Mickey, I just have to ask it because it was on the top. I wrote it down even. Are Brewer and Radens backup NFL players in this league, or are they potentially starters?
Brewer is. I wish I had a better answer for you on Radens. I don't know. We watched him make his way through. I didn't think he played overwhelmingly well against San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I thought they did some things to help him, and I do, everybody cites, well, he made Nick Bosa switch sides. Well, Nick Bosa, in the way that they were running the protections at the time and the help that Radens was getting, it made sense to move Nick Bosa to the other side and try and take advantage of David Quessenberry that way, right? So the sample size is so small for this player who is a second-round pick and who is also the second offensive tackle that you've taken in the last 2 years who have not been able to give you substantial starting snaps. I don't know what Radens is. I know what Brewer is. He's probably a more natural center, but he's a backup offensive lineman. And when you can use him, he's great. But he's still significantly undersized to be playing week in and week out against some of the top defensive line talent in the NFL.
You and Greg Cosell talked about this on the install. Blaine has talked about it. We're talking about all the offensive revamping with free agency and all that and guys who are leaving. Blaine said it. You guys talked about it. They're going to have to change some things they do offensively. It's time to try to catch up to what everybody else is doing. You can keep your own identity, sure, but you've got to beef up the passing.
Like, to me, it can't be 50-50. You got to go 60-40 now. If you got to put up, they have to put up 30 points.
New wrinkles.
Yeah,
you can't go down scoring 16 points in a playoff game.
Yeah.
You cannot. Against this AFC, which now includes Russell Wilson, even if he may not be like peak Russell, he's still a good enough player to cause you problems, as everybody in the NFC West will attest to. So, I mean, Tim Kelly is brought in there for not just they're not going to. I thought it was interesting when Vrabel said, and I think I talked with you guys about this last Friday, said that Tim Kelly didn't come in with his own agenda, right? Even though Tim Kelly interviewed for Todd Downing's job before Todd Downing got his job, right?
Yep.
Not coming in with his own agenda. He's there for, in theory, a diversification of ideas, right?
Okay.
Hey, Mike.
Whatever you guys want to believe.
Right.
Hey, Mike, this might work a little better in 3rd and 6+ situations. Maybe we try this package as opposed to Derrick Henry in the shotgun. Maybe we go this way. Maybe this works a little better. No offense, Todd. It needs to look a little different.
Yeah.
It needs to look a little different. But included in that is you need a different tight end. You need a different wide receiver too, respectfully to Julio. And if Julio's still on the roster in September, it remains to be seen. But you cannot have that lack of availability that is going to come with Julio Jones' name. It makes so much sense to me to trade out of the first-round pick and to get a tight end in the second round and to bring in a veteran to help that position so you can still do more things with what your offensive identity is, which is multiple tight ends, consistent running game, but you have a better selection of pass catchers in that same offense with which to do more with, like they did with Jonnu and Ferkser at the height of what that looked like. And I still think they need a wide receiver in a draft that has a lot of interesting wide receiver prospects. And if Treylon Burks somehow, some way, to the football gods, falls down to 26, the wide receiver out of Arkansas, you take him because you would rather have 2 A.J. Browns as opposed to 1. And that dude is a dog.
Buck Reising dogging his way through a segment here with Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Mickey's gone through the tight end free agency. Do you have somebody in mind that you would want the Titans to sign, or a couple guys on the list?
Price point pending, but Zach Ertz makes a ton of sense. He's 31 years old. He's a productive player. He blocks, which is their first and foremost role in this offense. And he's a player who they were linked to prior to him being traded from Philadelphia to Arizona. There were some, and I don't know how serious the discussions ever got, but he came up several times as somebody who they could look to add before they decided, hey, let's roll with Ferkser, Pruitt, and Swaim as the tight end situation. I think Ertz, if the price is right, that's still somebody who can be a legitimate contributor to your offense.
Lastly, for me anyway, will Julio Jones be on the roster after June 1st? Because you keep talking after you're unsure. Like you think he may not be on the team. Guess what? They gave up a second rounder. To me, this is just as egregious as what the Colts just did with Carson Wentz.
1,000% so.
Just you traded for a second round and you got nothing?
Nothing.
No, on my bad. You got an extension. That's what happened. So I'm
and a teary press conference. Don't forget.
Right. So you can get away with it now because you've gotten your extension. So if you decide to go down that road and you don't want him, you can. And
No. He can't get away. Like, you cannot get away with how egregiously bad that will look. He will. I mean,
So why are we talking about that? He's not going to be on the roster.
Because I think the only reason I think he's going to be here is because they don't save any money pre-free agency, even if they designate him pre-June 1st as a post-June 1st cut.
No, well, I know. We all know that. But, I mean, we're still talking as though there's a possibility even after June 1st, which was my question,
Sure.
that he won't be on the roster.
Because he did not anywhere close live up to the job responsibilities that he was supposed to have and the contributions that he was supposed to make. I know he looked good in Houston.
Well, we know what he didn't do. I mean, but they gave up a second rounder. It's just like being a first-round pick. They're not going to cut you, or you have a long-term contract and you play bad.
That's not true here, though.
Well, sometimes it is true, though.
Isaiah Wilson was, and again, mistakes were
that
made
was a
on the
little bit
front.
different. That's an outlier, but that has happened before. I think that was a little bit of an outlier. There were some issues there mentally
Of
that we
course.
can't even have a discussion about.
But here's what
we
I'll
can't use that one example. That's not the norm.
It's not the only example, though.
Which one you got?
We're talking about Kevin Dodd,
He was a second. He was
a second-round pick.
Right.
You're talking about Isaiah Wilson.
That was more based off of performance.
You're talking about. I'm talking about mistakes that were made that they pulled the ripcord on.
But they those are all different. They traded for him. When you draft somebody, is different than when you go get them.
Blaine, they gave Vic Beasley $10 million, and he didn't make it to December.
He's a free agent. Not the same. Not the same.
I don't think any of those situations are one-to-one. I'm just talking about, could I see him not on the roster? I'm seeing a sunk cost, right? You're not getting your investment back in Julio Jones. That's gone. How much further do you want to sink in that cost if you can't trust that guy to be available on a regular basis? That's the only reason why I would see him potentially gone.
Still no answer.
Yeah, I'm good at talking without saying anything.
Buck Reising, it's time for you to be gone. Great stuff, man. At Buck Reising on Twitter, people can follow you there. Again, A to Z Sports or The Install or Always Before Us right here on 104.5 The Zone. Thank you, sir. Have a good weekend.
Good stuff there, Buck.
Always a pleasure.
Enjoy Indiana basketball. We'll enjoy our last segment. Guy got cut yesterday after we went off the air after just 2 years. We'll talk a little bit about the Darrington Evans era next on Blaine and Mickey.
Now, a TSSAA scoreboard update on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Currently in progress in the girls 4A semifinal down at the Murphy Center. Bearden in control at halftime, leading Beach 40-22. The winner of that game will move on and face the winner between Cookeville and Farragut. That game is coming up with a 2:30 tip. The state championship in the 4A girls bracket will happen tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Earlier today, the first final to come through in the 3A girls semifinal. It was Jackson Southside outlasting Page 49-46. Southside will take on Upperman in the 3A girls state title game after Upperman defeated Creekwood 45-44. Drunk driving is the ultimate form of unsportsmanlike conduct. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you, fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Don't be so quick to walk away. We got one more segment in this hour. We got hour number 2 coming up. Charlie Burris from A to Z Sports going to talk some Vols. There's already been some excitement in the SEC tournament today.
Yeah. Who do you have winning it? Do you have somebody winning it, Lucas, when you come back?
I mean, we got Call Your Shot coming up. Let's pick winners at the end of the second hour. And you don't pick Auburn because if you're just joining us, they did not win today.
Oh,
they are out. Texas A&M got them.
Actually, I'm going with the team that's losing right now. I'm picking LSU to win it all over UT in the championship.
Oh, they got to get to getting right here.
Well, it's 4-10. It's first half. But that's my prediction, man. I want to put it out there now just so people can say I jump on the bandwagon if LSU wins this game.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's kind of
picking them while they're down. You sticking with them?
Yeah, sticking with them. That's kind of my roll the dice pick.
I like it. They were the 5th seed. I mean, LSU can roll into anywhere and beat anybody any night. And they got a pending investigation, so they need to get to winning while they're
this may be their last hurrah.
Right. Enjoy it, LSU. Give it all you got.
Wade.
Darrington Evans, he gave it all he had to the tune of 2 years. He did not crack the mythical 100 total yards barrier. He was 99 yards combined rushing and receiving. He did not get 100. He played 6 games while he was here. Cut after 2 years, so the Titans still need a third down type back. I wrote in my notes, does that mean Hilliard returns? They got Hilliard off his couch last year, averaged over 6 yards a carry. I think he had 19 catches. He can return kicks. I mean, that was a heck of a find by J-Rob and the crew off the couch, Dontrell Hilliard.
Yeah, that was a great one. When they told Darrington Evans to go ahead and go home during the season when he got injured, I thought that he was cut that day.
Yep.
Pretty much. I want to kind of go in a different direction in what we call third down back. I think we're denigrating, what they actually do. Hilliard is actually an every down back. Well, let's just say this. He's going to be the guy that's going to give the king rest, whether it be on third down, second down, or first down, because I think Hilliard, regardless of size, is a breakaway threat and can run in between the tackles. Just envision him just like Darrington Evans and what they thought he could become before the injury. So I think he's more of that because he ran in between the tackles, did a really good job. So I'm not going to just put him up. And I'm not a big proponent, about this kind of put people in these. This is what you are.
Right.
I think he can do every down if you had to in a crunch if Henry misses next year. So yeah, I like him. I would sign him to some small contract for 2 or 3 years. I would really want him back. I really like what I saw. He has some juice in his legs too. I really had some get up to him. I really liked how he fit into the scheme. And when you bring somebody on off the couch, they're in a desperate situation, much more focused, and knows this is it or nothing.
Yeah.
So you bring a whole different level of desperation as a player. And I think the Titans did an exceptional job of finding those guys, whether they were unknowns or former veteran players. They did a phenomenal job this past season, and you got to hats off to J-Rob and Vrabel making those choices, mostly probably, J-Rob, I'm sure, Vrabel's in there, he's coaching too at the same time.
Yep.
But I think that's why they had so much success during the season, because all the guys that they picked up really came in and brought value and contributed to the team. Don't know if you can continue to think that that's going to happen. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw and making the right decision, pulling it at the right time. But I think that's somebody I want back. I know Foreman, which I thought was a great pickup, and I thought he would do exactly what he did. I just don't think they'll be able to re-sign him.
He did it 2 years in a row, Foreman.
Yeah. I wasn't shocked. I remember I was shocked that they didn't bring him back, and then I was surprised that he got cut by the Falcons. And sometimes it's about schemes and systems that you fit perfectly in as a player.
Mm-hmm.
In this scheme and system, he fit in perfectly. And he is who I thought he would be. And I think he's going to be he did good enough to be in someone else's game. What did he rush for, about over 500 yards or so?
It was right about 500, and I did the math based on his yards per carry and how many carries he got. He would have been a 1,000-yard rusher projected over a full season.
So, I think someone's, maybe he's bringing in to push a starter or emergency if someone gets hurt. I think he did enough there. But if not, I would love that whole crew back. With King.
Oh, just run it back with that
run.
run.
The difference is you may have Foreman, maybe because I don't think he's a special teamer. Hilliard is. Yeah. That he may not dress games. That's probably what you're going to be dealing with because really when you're taking Henry out, the King out, you're putting in Hilliard more for your purposes, more for passing situations, but yet also keeping people off guard for screens, draws, as well as running in between the tackles. And that's how you keep defenses honest, because as soon as he comes in, you talk about third down back, first thing I'm thinking screen, or he's getting out on passing situations and he's trying to match him up versus a linebacker or somebody. But you want to keep everybody honest, and he ran in between the tackles, did a phenomenal job. I think they did that one time on third down against New England, if I can recall, and he took it the distance.
Yep. We're going to take it the distance in hour number 2 on this Friday show. There's Titan Stadium news, and this is really interesting because they sort of gave a deadline. And oddly enough, for Lucas Panzica, there's a soccer element to the stadium deadline. We'll share all that next. It's Blaine and Mickey. Yes, football next.
Football.
Now, a TSSAA scoreboard update on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Currently in progress in the 4A girls bracket in Murfreesboro. Bearden with a healthy lead over Beach at halftime, 40-22. The winner will stamp their ticket to the 4A girls state championship game Saturday afternoon. They'll take on the winner between Cookeville and Farragut. That tip-off coming up next at 2:30. Earlier today in the 3A girls bracket, Jackson Southside defeated Page 49-46 to advance. Upperman over Creekwood 45-44. The 3A girls state title game will happen tomorrow. A 1:30 tip-off between Jackson Southside and Upperman. Designate a sober game plan. If you've been drinking, don't drive. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you, fans don't let fans drive drunk. It is 2:04. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Big upset in the SEC tournament down in Tampa as the 1 seed Auburn goes down in the quarterfinals to Texas A&M. A final score of 67-62. A&M held a 20-point lead in the second half. Auburn clawed back to make it a 2-possession game, but ultimately crashes out of the SEC tournament, and Texas A&M moves on to the semifinal, where tomorrow the Aggies will face the winner between LSU and Arkansas. That game in progress midway through the first half. Arkansas leads LSU 14-11. Tennessee will be in action with a 5 p.m. tip-off against Mississippi State on the other side of the bracket. Vol Network pregame coverage picks up at 4:30 right here on The Zone. And then at 7 p.m. to round things out, Vanderbilt, after defeating Alabama in a comeback win last night, takes on 3-seed Kentucky. Again, a 7 p.m. tip-off. Titans CEO Burke Nihill discussed the team's plans for a new stadium at a Metro Sports Authority board meeting on Thursday. Per the Tennessean, the team currently working with Metro Nashville on building a new stadium in the parking lot next door to where Nissan Stadium currently sits. Tomorrow morning, the Nashville Predators finish out a 3-game homestand, looking for their 4th consecutive win after a 4-1 victory last night over the Anaheim Ducks. It's an 11:30 puck drop against Central Division opponent, the St. Louis Blues, in Bridgestone Arena. And Nashville Soccer Club continues its 8-game road trip to start the season before coming home to the officially named Geodis Park on May 1st. NSC plays its 3rd game of the year at FC Dallas tomorrow night. That's a 7:30 kick. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up? Happy Friday. Get your mittens out. You're going to need them. Got snow on the way. It is getting cold. It is snowing in Arkansas. It is coming this way. Just prepare yourself mentally. But based on our callers to start the show today, you've got anywhere from like 6 to 8 o'clock. Still get your business done tonight. So just keep doing your business. I think you're going to be fine for a little while. So yesterday, we finished. Of course, the Titans released their press release. They cut Darrington Evans loose after 2 years. The running back of the Titans, former App State player, wound up playing 6 games in 2 years. So that's another Titan cap casualty. Saw that, and I was working on my notes. So got my son in bed, and my wife was working late last night. And at some point, I happened to look at Twitter, and Teresa Walker of the Associated Press, the OG, the queen, had tweeted out a link to a story from the Associated Press that was all based on some stuff that had come out via the Tennessean. So I want to credit everybody here. So this is a Tennessean story, and Teresa Walker and the Associated Press had followed up on it. Burke Nihill is the Titans president. He was discussing the team's plans Thursday at a Metro Sports Authority board meeting. This is all per the Tennessean. The Titans are currently working with Metro Nashville officials on the design and cost of a new stadium on Nissan Stadium's parking lots between the stadium and I-24. This is, and Lucas, I know you talked about this a little bit earlier today. Nihill, this is all from the story, noted inflation is driving costs higher and higher. Both Nashville and the Titans want to finish work. This is just them putting this out into the universe. Want to finish work in time for the 2026 season. Nashville is also in the running for the World Cup in 2026. So we keep saying, boy, if you built to build a stadium, you get everything. This could literally be like cut the ribbon, put the World Cup in it. 2026. It is March 11th of 2022 as we sit here right now. That would be then. Because this isn't saying it's done, but this is them saying, we'd like to get this done, and we'd like to get it done, but time. When would those games be played?
How long did it take for
June?
the stadiums to be built? I don't think it took 4 years.
But it's not even approved yet, or how they pay for it, or anything. So they got to figure out all that and then put the shovels.
Well, you don't have to prove anything when you can say I got $1 billion. I'm just gonna pay for it myself. There, Lucas. You want to come help out? You can shovel some dirt, Lucas, and help us out.
Yeah, I'll volunteer. I'll put some hours in. June would be the window where those games would start. If it's like every other World Cup in history, except for the one this year in Qatar, because FIFA is corrupt. But that's a whole other situation. If you told me, this is what I said earlier today, if you told me 5 years ago that Nashville would hold America's biggest soccer-specific stadium, I would have said you're nuts. Like if you told me in 2017, when we found out that they were getting an MLS club, like, oh, it's going to be open and ready to go by, summer 2022. I'd be, are you kidding me? So, I feel like it's doable with enough resources, but the cost, you feel like the team has to foot the bill if the whole goal is to take it off of the taxpayers of Nashville. It's obviously a much bigger undertaking with probably twice the capacity of a 30,000-person stadium, and you also have to demolish the one next to it and maybe build parking decks so people can park at the games while the construction is happening and they're still playing games at the original stadium. So there's a lot of moving parts here, and you're right. That's a quick turnaround, 2026.
2026, how long did it take to build the arena? I know it's different circumstances down in town, the L.A. arena stadium.
You talk
or the Atlanta's
Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm not
which
sure
is
how-
kind of comparable because
Yeah.
they destroyed theirs and then built another one. So I'm trying to think. I don't recall it taking like 4 years though.
Yeah, I mean they can move quickly on these things. I don't know if they were in any race against time either on that end
Well,
of
for
things.
2026, and also they may get some help from the NFL as far as cost. Mickey, by the way, they may split the cost with them to put up a stadium. So yeah, and naturally taxpayers too in Nashville. Lucas.
That thing, at that point, whomever is footing the bill, and I know taxpayers don't want to, Big Man says it took 3 years in L.A. That's Big Man Y.
And it's not supposed to
Zone
be
TV
as
chat.
massive, but they were out in the middle of nowhere, kind of, right? So
As far as I know, yeah,
it wasn't like they had to knock down the stadium building. I mean, so they could just go. And they did it kind of during the COVID time, by the way, which is tough to get, materials.
I would love, I know you want to see the one in L.A. I would give anything to see that one, where it's an
I
outdoor
don't think it's
stadium
going to be
with a cover
I don't
on
think,
it.
I don't think it's going to be like that here, but yeah,
You
I
think
would
they
like-
need the convertible over here, like the roof that slides open.
Yeah. I kind of like Lucas Oil.
Yeah, you finally got to go and check it out
Yeah,
on the field.
I kind of like what I saw. It's a massive building.
I went back and looked at that again today. Bert Nihil, I can't want to say Nihil. Sorry, Burke. He's a super nice guy. Nihil, 60,000. That's what they're talking about capacity for that one.
Well, they're going to build?
The one they would build.
Oh, I'm out.
why? Because it's less.
You're out on 60,000.
No, I want a small, quaint stadium, but it changed my thought process. All I wanted to be, if they change how the criteria for the NFL Super Bowl, then I'm all in. Because you don't have to have a humongous stadium, but they want the season. They want to sell more tickets and all those things. I love the small, quaint with suites and everything else. So I'm right in line with you. I want the city to continue to grow and get a Super Bowl or more major events. And eventually that means Super Bowl. I'm a competitor and I'm competing now. Why did Indy, which is a bigger city, get one and we're not even on the radar? So now we need to get on that radar. And it first starts with the stadium. We got the hotels now.
Yep.
We can't use that as an excuse. We have enough. So, and we can even add, Airbnbs in there. So I just want it to be, hopefully maybe they change the criteria. If it needs to be 70, hey, why not put 10 more thousand in there somewhere? Squeeze them in there. Maybe it can do that. It's just not, that's not what they're going to do during the regular season. But if you have enough to do it, you would sell those tickets and make money. So I just wanted to have a Super Bowl.
You're seeing it where, universities and franchises are being okay with scaling back on,
Right.
capacity for the
Universities
game day
are totally
experience.
different. Right.
Like
Totally
Tennessee
different.
right now is going to chop off a nice little chunk of Neyland Stadium's,
Right.
over 100,000 people. I don't know what it's going to go down to, but they're doing it to improve the fan experience. And from what I saw of mock-ups from what we thought was going to be renovations to Nissan before they determined that would be too costly, you might as well build a new one. That probably would have chopped attendance down a little bit to increase fan experience within the building.
Yeah, and I get it. For colleges, I definitely understand. I even agree with that with the NFL. I think they're going to change their criteria. I don't want a massive stadium and then all of a sudden, it's just too big. But I do want it to be able to have a Super Bowl.
I'm sure they would be in consultation like, okay, what gets us a Super Bowl? That's how many seats it's going to have. Because you couldn't build that rascal.
Because every new stadium, by the way, gets a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
At some point within the next 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years.
100% it does.
It happens every time.
Yeah,
that would guarantee it.
You
right?
get it. You get the Super Bowl.
But does the attendance, how many seating really matter, or does it? I don't know.
The Levi Stadium is 68.5. I looked because I thought it was in 60s. The 49er Stadium, it's already gotten a Super Bowl. That was where Peyton won his last one.
Oh, I was at that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. That was that one's 68 and change. I would think it's one of the smaller stadiums, but I swear it was 60K was the figure given in that story. But certainly they wouldn't do it if that didn't get them that didn't get them the Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought Lucas was looking it up.
Did you read the same story, Lucas? Do you remember that?
I did, and I also read the Nashville Business Journal story from this morning about Burke Nihil talking about what he wants out of that part of town and that neighborhood, of it not turning into a tourist trap like Broadway is, but keeping it like a family-friendly, where you can still get ice cream and do a family movie night without feeling like you're walking around on Broadway surrounded by bachelorette parties.
I don't know how you could do that, though.
That's what I'm saying. I
Unless
love
you
the
just-
idea, but that's tough.
I just think in Nashville, if you build it, the tourists will come. They're going to.
If you build it, they'll come.
They're just going to be like kudzu, which just grows everywhere once you plant any of it. I mean, I think they're going to be right there. I'm trying to find a story again via Teresa Walker of the Tennessean.
Well, with all that being said, it's still fantastic, exciting news just to even say we're now having deep conversations and the possibility is possibly, right around the corner if you want to give it that in the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's even before I thought it would actually happen. I thought 10 years it would we'd have a new stadium, bigger facility, or whenever the lease was going to be up. I forgot when I might have said that a while back, but yeah. So I'm pumped. I'm jacked. Yeah, you got the new soccer stadium coming. I can't wait to go with Lucas so he can show me everything.
Maybe I imagine the 60,000. I swear I saw that figure somewhere.
I don't think any stadium that's at the Super Bowl is under 70. I don't
except
think
Levi's would be 68.5. And maybe there's a whole lot of other figures in this, and maybe I got just some numbers crossed with some other sixes and zeros. We got Titans news on the other side.
A little bit of Titans news.
Like, will people be excited or
breaking news?
Oh, good news.
If it's what I think I know about this person, then I think they'll be excited.
Yes, Titans personnel moves.
Titans personnel moves. That's next. And Charlie Burris to talk Vols and SEC basketball next on Blaine and Mickey.
Assistant GM.
Now, a TSSAA scoreboard update on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The 4A girls semifinal nearing its end at the Murphy Center in Murfreesboro as Bearden closing in on a 67-47 win over Beach in the final minutes of the fourth quarter, looking like Bearden will stamp its ticket into the 4A Girls State Championship game. Their opponent will be determined in about half an hour when Cookeville and Farragut tip off down in Murfreesboro. That game, again, tipping off in about 30 minutes to determine the 4A Girls State Championship game. In 3A, the Page girls fell to Jackson Southside 49-46. JSS moves on and will play Upperman, who edged out Creekwood 45-44 in the other 3A girls semifinal bracket. There's no need to consult the playbook. The winning strategy is to always designate a sober driver. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Titans news. This guy's been speculated about quite a bit. Per Field Yates, the Titans and punter Brett Kern have agreed to a reworked deal for 2022. Kern, the all-time leading punter for the Titans and longest tenured player on the roster, will now make $2.2 in compensation. He's going to have to get by on 2.2.
He was making 3.7, 5, or was this his cap hit? Supposed to be making.
Yeah, I think three and change. So people kind of wondered. There were some who were speculating that he might not be around, and I was not one of those people.
Yeah, I was hearing it. I had no idea. I feel like he's still an elite punter. He may not be number one now. I would still say you have to put him in the top 5. That's a big strike. I mean, man, that's a lot of dough for considering what he was making.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you take a hair lash of 1.5. That's a lot.
1.5 cap hit, though, will get you another good player.
Mm-hmm.
That'll get you a good player on the team.
Yeah. So it tells me, maybe he's like, hey, I'm comfortable here. Don't want to move. Going to cost me the same just if I moved and probably get the same thing on the market. What year is this for him? He's got to be the all-time leading punter now in Titans history.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad to see Kern's still around. I'm a big fan that he is.
37, I think. I don't want to make him older than what he is. He's still 36. Sorry, Kern. He just turned 36. He's only 36, merely 36, Brett Kern.
No, how many years have you been with the Titans? Age doesn't really factor in for me for certain positions, and punter is one of them. Kicker is because if they can still get it done, I mean, you don't have to be a certain age or have a certain speed to your game. I mean, his is about flexibility. If he's pinpoint accurate and putting them inside the 20, as well as making sure he's getting that hang time.
13 years he's been here. Almost 2 years or a year and change in Denver. We'll keep the Brett Kern talk going.
15 years, going on 16.
Yeah, heck of a career for Brett Kern. Heck of a career for Charlie Burris at A to Z Sports and other places. Before that, he joins us now to talk a little basketball. Charlie, the Brett Kern news broke, so we had to preempt you just a second there. But, if you're a guy who follows the Titans, that's good news, right, to get your punter back?
I am a huge Titans fan. I can say it my free time, and that is great to hear. I mean, he's one of the best ever, right? So I am very happy to hear that.
Oh, so what's your fondest memory of any Titan game or a player that did something? Just give it you're a big Titan fan.
Man, that's an amazing question. I was really little when they were in like Super Bowl form. I guess.
Well, it could be modern time today.
Yeah, but I honestly, these moments with Derrick Henry, where he's just a superhuman, these stiff arms, man, and I leap up off my couch just at some of the stuff that he does, and like what can you even say about the guy? Like he's not even human. So I will say I love that, but I want that moment to be when those boys win a Super Bowl. Hopefully one day here soon.
Charlie, when I was little, I remember Blaine Bishop playing. I was just a kid. I told my mom, get me a 23 jersey so I could wear it to school because I loved watching him play.
Well, you're older than me, man. How did that happen, man?
I know we're going to talk Tennessee, but were you surprised to see Auburn already flame out at the hands of A&M earlier today?
Very surprised. I thought A&M basically had their game yesterday, against Florida. And then here they come. They played a very similar game to the day before where they got out to this big lead. Second half, they slowed down a little bit, but then ultimately they squeak it out. And all credit to Buzz Williams. That guy is a really solid coach. He was scheming it up today. They played excellent defense. And I was really impressed on their behalf. And I will say, if Tennessee can make the championship game, I'll say thank you. That's a big weight off of a potential upcoming game for Tennessee.
Charlie Burris, our guest with A to Z Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Charlie_Burris. That'll get you there anywhere you want to consume the A to Z Sports empire.
Well, Charlie, we have Call Your Shot, and one of my shots are LSU and Tennessee will play in the championship and the SEC, championship. Who do you have playing in the SEC championship?
another great question. I don't want to say this. I know the Tennessee fans that follow me and then the show the Big Orange podcast that I do every week, they're not going to love this, but
Kentucky.
I think Kentucky comes out of Tennessee's side. Unfortunately, they're really good. They're a really complete team. They just a ton of talent, and they match up well with Tennessee on a neutral floor, I think. And so I think Kentucky on this other side, it's a free for all. Really, I'm interested to see how this game that's happening right now turns out. LSU Arkansas, I think that's going to be a big decider in that, because it just projecting. I feel like A&M is probably going to finally. At a certain point, I feel like you'll hit a brick wall after you play two big draining games like they just did. But hey, you never know. But I'll say Arkansas. It's kind of the chalk pick, I guess. But really, I mean, I think you just look at this side of the bracket. I think they're the best team in my opinion.
How surprised were you of Vandy and well as they're playing now? Everybody's healthy and back out there, man. This be a team you don't want to play, right?
Definitely. I was impressed with them last night, especially just that resiliency, for lack of a better word, I guess. They took a punch in the mouth in that first half and then came back out, and especially kind of a weird game last night for Pippen Jr. I mean, he basically was all free throws, but he contributed in a huge way, even though he wasn't making shots. And then you have Studi, who just was coming up huge. He was super efficient. 6
of 10 from three-pointers.
Yeah. I mean, that was crazy. And so kind of similar to Texas A&M, credit to Stackhouse, man. They look pretty good out there. Definitely, I will say it scares me if they can find a way against Kentucky tonight. The motivation that Vanderbilt will have against Tennessee tomorrow, if Lord willing, Tennessee gets through and they have a fine time today, the motivation that Vanderbilt would have, I have to imagine, would be crazy in that game against Tennessee. So yeah, I mean, I'll be lying if I said that didn't concern me.
Typically, how well does Tennessee under Barnes do in the SEC tournament? Trying to rehash.
So I was actually looking at this earlier today. His first 2 years, made it to the quarters, and then Grant and Admiral became the big factor. They made it to the championship game 2 years in a row. Right. Game was canceled the next year, and then it was the semifinals last year. Again, ran into Alabama, who eventually won the tournament. So it's been a mixed bag so far, but I would say he's better more often than not. Of course, that's a big knock on Barnes just in his career at Texas and everywhere else he's been. He's struggled to win championships that don't involve the regular season. I mean, already he's won a regular season at Tennessee, but it's that tournament that gets him, the one-off games, something with it. And I'm not totally sure. It's kind of been different stuff in different years. But I think that's the toughest thing with Barnes, is that he's put together such a great resume with Tennessee so far and had some really impressive teams, but he just can't get over that postseason hump. You run into a miracle team like Loyola Chicago, like they did a few years ago, and some stuff like that just it's almost like God doesn't want you to have a Final Four. Like it just isn't meant to be. Something about it. But I think this team, we were talking about this on the podcast this week. This team, I think, is as good as any that he's had. It's good in a different way from those Grant and Admiral teams. It's a little more balanced. It's not so top heavy with just Admiral Schofield and Grant Williams like those teams were. But of course, they don't just have a straight up go-to scorer, and that's a problem all in itself. So I think they have as much potential as any team that he's ever had. I think, of course, losing today would be a giant disappointment, and losing in either of the first two rounds of the tournament would be pretty rough. But so far, if they can get past today, it's all there for them, and I'm interested to see how they do.
What do you think the fan base's expectation is when they start the NCAA tournament? That they'll be satisfied with, with going as far as you think they can go? What do you think that is?
It's a minimum Sweet 16, I think, this season. Wow. Well, so you're going to be at least a 3 seed at this point. I think the only way that maybe doesn't happen is if you lose today. And I mean, if you win today and you win tomorrow, you're probably even a 2 seed in the tournament. And so it's just almost that they wouldn't have an excuse. I mean, you're not going to face a seed that's higher than you potentially until the Sweet 16. At that point, you may face a 2 seed if you're a 3. If you're a 2 seed, you won't face a higher seed till the Elite 8. So I mean, it's really just that. There's just no excuses, in my opinion. Obviously, weird stuff happens, and you might run into a miracle team, God forbid, again. That would be terrible luck, but it does happen. And obviously that's kind of a different conversation, but if they just get straight up beat, like last year against Oregon State, they just rolled over, and it was unacceptable, frankly. And then Rick has really responded really well. He got a great recruiting class, brought him in, has used him really effectively, in my opinion, and they look really good this year. And so to me, Sweet 16 or bust, and obviously, I mean, for him to really be able to cement his legacy here, I just think it's all about that Final Four. I'm not going to say in no way would it be a failure to not reach a Final Four necessarily, but that's it. That's the thing that's missing with Rick Barnes here. And so you just kind of have to be honest about the situation that he's in.
Well, the Charlie Burris, A to Z Sports, covering the SEC tournament in Tampa Bay.
If somebody had shown you a stat line and then described a player for you and then said, okay, now I'm going to tell you that's Zakai Ziegler before the season, what would your response have been?
I mean, I almost wrote him off as a player at the beginning of the season because he's so undersized, and just nobody knew who he was, totally out of left field from Brooklyn, New York, I believe. What he has turned into for Tennessee, just being an absolute just sort of energizer bunny when he gets out there, really brings fire. He hustles on the defensive end. I mean, what a surprise, and what an amazing development for Tennessee, and a great find by Rick Barnes in that recruiting class, man. I would have called you crazy because I genuinely looked at him at the beginning of the season. I think I may have literally said this on our show. Probably something like, "Oh, we'll see him next year. You know, he'll be around when Kennedy Chandler's gone, and then we'll see how Zakai Ziegler turns out." And man, they're a great 1-2 punch now. I mean, it's one of the biggest strengths of that team. You look today at Auburn. I think it's a great sort of juxtaposition. Auburn today, their point guard play let them down. KD Johnson was terrible in that game. And just was nowhere to be found. And when you add in great point guard play, not just from Kennedy Chandler, but Kennedy Chandler's backup, and then when they play together, they're extremely dynamic. That's huge. It's a huge piece for them, and really awesome for Tennessee if they can capitalize on it.
Well, Charlie, I guess before we let you go, what do you think about Florida and Mike White, and will it be able to survive, I guess, this early exit out of the SEC tournament?
Well, I'd put it this way. I think a lot of Tennessee fans are hoping that they hang on to Mike White, and that might be your answer right there as to what Florida needs to do. He's just, he's not going to get it done. I just can't imagine. Everybody's kind of given him the benefit of the doubt because he had some freak injuries with his players and some different things. But I think you watch his games, and he's just not that good of a coach in game. I think his offenses have been absolutely anemic and just not where you would hope they would be with some of the sets of players that they've had. And so if I was giving advice that's not tinted with my orange-colored glasses to the AD at Florida, I would say you got to get rid of this guy. I mean, it's just time. Move on. And apologies to Tennessee's AD, Danny White. It's unfortunate for his brother, but I think it's about time for Mike to go.
Charlie, good stuff, man. People can follow you, of course, via A to Z Sports at Charlie_Burris on Twitter. Going to be a huge weekend of college basketball, and look forward to chatting with you again soon, sir. Thanks for checking in with us.
Appreciate it, Charlie.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir. Charlie Burris. All right, when we come back, it's time to call our shot. So there's a lot of college basketball being played. You want to call a shot on that. Maybe you got a shot on a Titan you think is going to be able to stick around through the weekend. Maybe somebody you don't think will be around by next week. There's a lot of opportunities to call shots. We will do that coming up next on Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
Now, a TSSAA scoreboard update on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Bearden advances with a 74-55 win over Beach in the 4A girls semifinal down at the Glass House in Murfreesboro. So Bearden punches their ticket. They are in the 4A state championship game and will face the winner between Cookeville and Farragut. That tip-off coming up in a few minutes. Down to the 3A level, the first game of the day was Jackson Southside beating Page 49-46, and then Upperman defeating Creekwood by a point, 45-44. It'll be Jackson Southside and Upperman going head-to-head tomorrow afternoon for the 3A Girls State Championship. Designated drivers are the real MVP. If you've been drinking, pass your keys to a sober friend. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Time to call our shot. You need to take some shots. 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic coming up Monday, April 25th at one of Middle Tennessee's most prestigious private courses. It's Old Natchez Country Club. 2022 Spring Golf Classic will be a day accompanied by great food and cocktails and prizes. You can choose between two flights, right? You got 8 a.m. or 1 p.m. Hit the links with us Monday, April 25th. Early bird tickets on sale now. Through Sunday. So you got to get to going on that. Save over $100 by purchasing an early bird foursome today at 1045 thezone.com. Maybe you'll even see Lucas Panzik out there. He can just produce from there. I don't know how you do that, but I think you should just come out there.
I'm down. Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, that was easy. All right, Lucas Panzik is going to be there. What more do you need? What more do you need? Time to call our shot. We do that each Friday. Brought to you by Chattanooga Whiskey, available at your favorite Nashville retail store. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Maybe you'll do that tonight as you watch the snowfall outside your window. Just saw an update from our friends at Nash Severe Weather on Twitter. They are saying around 8-ish as they are expecting. So get your business in order. Get your chains on your tires and milk and bread to prepare yourself for one final, hopefully only one more snowpocalypse for this year.
You would think.
Blaine called a pretty brave shot earlier while his team was down in the SEC tournament. You said, I'm going to go ahead and say this now because I don't want things to look better later. LSU was down to Arkansas, I think 10-4. So it was 10-4, good buddy. At the time, we'll CB lingo for you.
They're still down, I think, at halftime.
No, they're down again. They were up a minute ago when I looked.
I'm not sure.
Three-point game.
The TV went out.
Yeah, 29-26 at half.
Yeah, our TV just stopped working.
Mine did too.
Here. Oh, okay. Well, we're all in the same boat. That's what we got social media for.
I'm going, LSU versus Tennessee, and LSU wins the SEC tournament. And I also have another one for the SEC tournament. What was the scores? Naturally, I did not watch them. Vandy versus Kentucky. Did they play them tough? I thought they did.
So they lost to them by 12 or 13 at home at Memorial Gym. And the game was closer at Rupp Arena, but I think Kentucky kind of pulled – I'll pull that up. But that could be interesting.
I think Vandy looked different than I've seen them all season. They looked in flow. I think they're hot and they believe, and I think they're going to upset Kentucky.
Last time they played, it was a 77-70 final at Rupp Arena.
Right, I watched that one. Yeah, and I thought, man, if they would have known how to execute at the end, which I think they've kind of finally figured it out.
Well, that's been
and how
their
they
thing all
can
season.
win games, right, instead of lose the games, by 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it was. So I'm going Vandy on a limb over Kentucky. And then my last one is Mitch Trubisky will be signing with yours truly, the Indianapolis Colts.
So 99 problems
Bam.
and a Mitch will be one for the Colts. Huh?
Man, yeah, I'm telling you got a rapper in you, man. You're rapping.
Yes.
Your rhymes, man. You got rhymes on you.
Lucas, do you care to wrap through your choice for your shot call for today?
I won't rap through it, but I will give it to you. I called my shot on the UT podcast with Will Bowling and I on Wednesday. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. That Arkansas would win the SEC tournament. Love the combination of J.D. Note and Jalen Williams. Other than, a healthy Ty Washington at Kentucky and Oscar Tshiebwe, I don't think there's a better backcourt, frontcourt balance as far as individual players. Assuming Arkansas can hang on and win, they're up 3 at the half over LSU. But I just love Eric Musselman as a head coach, and they finished the season really hot. If that game against Tennessee's not at Thompson-Boling Arena, Arkansas comes back and wins that game in the regular season finale. They're one of the hottest teams in the country towards the end of the regular season, right up there with Tennessee. So I think Arkansas wins the SEC tournament.
Against who?
I had it on the UT podcast. I had it against Tennessee. Arkansas-Tennessee championship game, and Tennessee's SEC tournament woes might continue.
Lonzo, whose avatar is Mississippi State logo, says, I'm calling my shot, LOL, Mississippi State wins tonight. Lonzo in the Zone TV chat. By the way, you can always jump in there and call your shot. Bill Hayes called a shot earlier. The Green Bay Packers and Titans in the 2027 Super Bowl in Nashville. That's what the news, the Titans floating out a date for a new stadium. Burke Nihill throwing out the year 2026. And I had some $60K number for. I can't find where I found that. Maybe I dreamed that.
Are you talking about the
$60K for the new stadium? There's no way it would be that small.
Yeah, it was 70 that can expand to 100. I looked it up. The SoFi,
in LA, yeah,
the SoFi Stadium.
So I've lost my mind. There's no way it's that small. We also wondered how long it would take to build it. 31 months is what Burke Nihill said in the. So a little bit less than 3 years, 2.5.
And they, here on the call screen here, I guess, or not the call screen, but the hotline, I guess.
Zone TV chat.
Right, yeah. They're saying it took 3 years for these SoFi.
There you go.
Wow. So, yeah, it's about 3. I didn't think it would take 4. I don't remember, but I would have remembered that.
Well, the thing is, just getting all the how you're paying for it and all the surveys and all that stuff.
And we're just talking about it now.
We're just talking about it. I think it's why that
you.
makes that date so like, whoa, that seems fast. Although, gosh, that does seem like a long time away. But all right, my shot. I've been on the fence about this all day.
You have?
Yes.
About what?
Cal has a team like he's never had. He has old guys, transfers. Now, granted, he's got some young guys too because it's Cal. He's got his most experienced team that he's ever had at Kentucky. I think Cal's going to win the tournament this year. I think
the NCAA tournament.
I think they're going to win the SEC. Now, I'm not willing.
SEC tournament.
Now, I think it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them make a run all the way to the Final Four. But everybody healthy, playing all cylinders for Kentucky. Again, he's just never had a team with this much experience. And Lucas, you were talking about just naming some of the guys on the team, and it's like, boy, Ty Washington and Shibwe. I'm picking Kentucky to win the SEC tournament.
Yeah, he's got that blend of young, explosive talent and veteran experience that he just hasn't had in a long time. Since his one national championship team with Kentucky, but that team had Anthony Davis. No Anthony Davis on this team.
Which Anthony Davis, we had, who's the Kentucky sports radio guy?
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones. We asked him once, who's the greatest Kentucky player, at least of this, modern era, and he said Anthony Davis, because he won a championship. He was Player of the Year. He did everything you could do. He did it in 1 year, and he said, "See ya. Time to go make my money."
I think today's his birthday, or yesterday was his birthday.
Well,
29 years old.
What a hellish season this has been for that guy.
Yeah, get healthy.
Yeah. LeBron's waiting for him to get healthy. Mark says Tennessee wins the SEC tournament, makes it to Elite Eight. Build stadium big enough to hold a Super Bowl and a WrestleMania.
I like.
Zena says, I need y'all to not talk basketball because you don't know what you're talking about. Hashtag BBN. I just picked Kentucky, Zena. So get with it.
Oh, that's a...
Yeah, she was mad that we weren't picking Kentucky. I did. So we'll meet up Monday and see how it went. Right now, it's time for us to go. It's time for 3HL. Time for snow.
Oh,
soon.
No. In the meantime, in between time, no snow, Mickey. And peace.